has requested that we begin with a rant. And
before we get to the news.
To begin, should I preface what inspired?
Yeah, tell them why, why I want to talk about this.
So, generally I find new music on Spotify. Well, I find a lot of places, but this I found on Spotify suggested to me was, you may have heard of Gulch, who are a primarily hardcore band, I would say. Kind of some elements of other things like death metal, though. Interesting, fun guys.
Mm-hmm.
I sent it to Maledictus.
I like it.
Also, Gulch, very recently, Hate56 made a video of them going crazy. So I think they're very up and coming.
Watch that video.
Very topical. Very cool band. Anyway, Maledictus has something to say.
Yeah, so I get this link, and somebody that sends me new bands at work. So I'm sitting there at work. I'm like, oh, cool, new band. So I listen to it, and I like it. And I'm like, oh, this kind of sounds like music I like, but it has it's like hardcore, but it has like death metal elements in it. I was like, this is pretty cool. But I noticed the title of the track, and the single, it was basically like a single, right? Like, did it have, it was just a single, right?
It was like 2 songs.
It was like 2, yeah, it was an EP.
It was their most recent thing.
It was like an EP. So in the title was basically saying that it's a cassette tape. Basically, they titled it as it was a cassette tape. Okay. And at this point, I noticed like a lot of bands are using cassette tapes. Mostly like thrash and hardcore bands really are going the cassette tape route. And one reason I think they're doing it is because that was the format when that kind of, they're going that retro way, because that was the format when those bands were like doing that thing. Well, there it is. Yeah. So it's called 2019 promo cassette. So it's a demo.
I mean, that might not be a name. That's just a description.
But I think that was what I saw.
It's just a meta name.
Anyway, it is obviously a cassette.
It's good though. Check it out.
Oh, no, it's definitely good. Never mind the format. It's good. Check it out. But I kind of I just got to my wit's end, and I noticed a lot of bands are using, like I was saying before, a lot of bands are using cassettes again, and it's getting me very angry. Okay, so cassettes. I have a theory on why these things are coming back, and I know you young people are like, okay, boomer. No, you're the fucking boomer. You're using a fucking piece of technology that no one wants to use anymore, okay?
They want to use it.
You guys, the reason why you 20-year-olds want to use cassettes is because you never experienced them back in the 80s and 90s, you fucking dweebs, okay? You never had to unwind cassettes. You don't know what it's like. You just bought your first cassette. People, they don't make fucking cassette players anymore, okay? Where do you find one? I don't have one.
I'm sure you can find one.
I bet you
do have one.
Yeah, on my alarm clock. It's like half broken. Because I smash the thing all the time and it goes off. But, okay, like, they're probably going to start making cassette decks again and sell them for, like, a lot of money, like they did for record players. Which I would never, ever think is going to happen.
Okay. I'm going to make an argument for cassettes.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Quickly.
First off, I don't know how much of a trend it is outside of like the underground metal and maybe rock community.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people are buying are people buying synthwave on cassette? Honestly, I have no
Who
idea,
knows?
so I really
Maybe.
shouldn't speculate on that.
But synthwave is kind of underground. It's not really amazing.
It is underground. Like I was thinking of a non-metal / rock underground genre.
Yeah.
What was I going to say here? First off, I did grow up with cassettes. And I find the idea of them appealing because, for one, they're a piece of physical music, a physical product you can hold in your hand that is not expensive, although I don't know how much you could buy a cassette for right now because I haven't attempted to buy any.
Yes.
But back then they were not expensive, and they're also kind of
relatively.
They're not like holy objects like you're supposed to treat records, Like there's a higher barrier to entry, and that you have to have this expensive record player to play a record. And also you have to devote portions of your house, if you're really going to get into it, to records. And a cassette, and like, honestly, the biggest reason people collect records is to have the physical stuff, to have the record sleeve and the liner and everything. And you get that when you have a tape. It's smaller, but it's still there. It's smaller. It's like a cheapo record collecting. Is these tapes. You have records and you don't even listen to them.
That's not the point.
So you could get tapes and not even listen to them.
That's not the point.
And you'd have the little tapes. It's like having a little bit of memorabilia.
Okay.
And you could get a tape player in your car and listen to.
No, you can't. That's not true. No one's going to sell you a tape player in your car. Anyway, the reason why they brought these things back, I guarantee you, this is the reason why. This is my theory. I thought about when she sent me a thing at work. I started just fuming. I was like, God damn it, fucking tape. So that's exactly what I did. And okay, so there's this dissolution hipster out there, and he really likes records. And he was angry at the fact that you could get records at your Urban Outfitters now, and he's like, God damn it, everyone's got records now. Like, they're all the normies have records now. So he's angry. So he's like, I got an idea. And he started going on Reddit and stuff and telling everyone how great cassettes were. And he knows cassettes are shit. But he was like, yeah, cassettes, you gotta start buying cassettes. All right, well,
cassettes are also nostalgic. It's nostalgic for me.
Yeah, but they're crap, though.
Okay. I don't mind. Like, I'm not a audiophile.
Okay. Well, we'll get into that.
And if it's cheap, I don't care if it falls apart.
Okay, but I don't know if they are cheap. We don't know that.
I don't know. It's true, but I imagine they are because I think also cassettes are good for underground bands because they're cheap to make. You can have something physical that's not a fucking lame ass CD.
No, you don't want CDs.
Yeah,
I'm 100% against CDs.
People still like physical things, so you can have this cassette that's cheaper than a CD and certainly a vinyl to make, and it's something that you can give people, and people like having things.
Cassettes are garbage. Just save your money for a 7-inch, okay? 7 inches are great, okay? That's what we used to do. We used to do 7 inches back in the day, before my time, actually. But anyway, so this hipster, of course, released this thing, and everyone fell for it.
Well, people of my generation don't know what 7 inches are.
Really?
If they do, it's only because they did research. They did not grow up with 7 inches.
Like, they didn't, bands weren't like...
Did you grow up with 7 inches?
Yeah, when I was young, a teenager, bands were releasing 7. That was a cool thing to do.
People 10 years younger than you did not grow up with 7 inches at all.
Maybe not younger than me.
So unless they became record nerds and like got into like and know what that is, like they don't know what a 7-inch is.
Okay.
They're like, you want to release this on a 7-inch? They'd be like, okay, boomer. That's what they'll be.
No, 7 inches were cool. Like I
believe you that they were cool.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
They only got cooler.
Someone my age, unless you've chosen to get into records or you had someone older in your life who taught you what they were. You did not organically know what they were, like you organically know about tapes.
Okay. I grew up with tapes.
People in their 30s want fucking tapes.
My rant here is 100% justified because I grew up with tapes, okay? Everyone fell for this thing.
So did I. I grew up with tapes,
but I really grew up with them.
I really grew up with tapes.
I don't know how. You were behind if you grew up with tapes.
Well, yeah. Okay. Poor people my age grew up with tapes.
I guess so. You didn't have CDs? Like, I figured CDs were your format.
Not in the car.
Right, really? You didn't have CDs in your car? What year was this? What year are you talking
about? I did not get a CD player in my car until... Well, my car was definitely old enough that we had it installed later.
Right.
But my car
had
a tape player.
What year was this?
In like 2003.
Really?
Yes.
You still had a tape player in 2003?
I mean, the car wasn't from 2003.
Yeah, I put one. I had Gary put one in my car.
I didn't have Gary.
I had a shitty Saturn, and I had Gary, and the thing didn't cost that much. It was maybe $100.
Obviously, I was poorer than you.
Yeah, I guess so. We were rich kids from Wayne.
The reason I eventually got one, which was I think my senior year in high school, was because my mother had given my dad one for his birthday, and he eventually got a new car that had a CD player.
Which is
and this
is
like 2003.
Right. Well, I think most cars had them by then.
And so then for my birthday, she had the CD player installed in the car. Not even my car. The car I shared with her.
Okay, well, in civilization, we had CD players in our cars from the mid-'90s on. Anyway, so everyone fell for this, and they started buying tapes again. They were like, oh, yeah. He convinced everyone, and he's like, yes, I got them, because he knows tapes are craps. And people were like, oh, what's the difference between vinyl? Vinyl never went away. That's the thing. Tapes went away for a reason. Vinyl, maybe in the mainstream went away, but all the audiophiles still, like when you talk to some weird nerd guy, like he still had vinyl, like the alchemists of our life. Like they had vinyl, and they were always using vinyl. They never, it's just obviously hipsters started like catching on to it, and they made it cool. But there were always these nerdy guys that were using vinyl, all right, or DJs. So, cassettes were only popular throughout the 80s and 90s for two reasons. Okay, you can record on them, right? Because you didn't have CD burners in the 80s and until the mid 90s.
Also very cool for poor people.
And you could put them in your car.
Steal shit
I'm
easily.
talking, well, when tapes came out, and they're, for home use in the early 80s, or maybe late 70s, all the record labels were concerned about home taping. Imagine that. Like, that was the same scare as, like, MP3s in 2000. They thought you were going to tape songs off of the radio. Oh, my God. The nerve of these people. So, obviously, that was horse shit. But You could record them. You could make mixtapes, and you could put them in your car. And in the 80s and most of the 90s, you could not really do that. So, they were pretty mainstream well into the 90s. But until they made the CD burner, you could start making mixed CDs. Probably by like the mid 90s, CD burners were becoming available. And I remember making my first mixed CDs for my car in like the later 90s. And tapes at that point were absolutely pointless. So
unless you had an old car.
Yes, unless you were in not civilization, and you didn't have these amenities that civilized people have. Like, I lived in Wayne, New Jersey, and we were civilized. You were from the backwoods. Yes. So maybe you and the people in Montana and stuff didn't have these amenities, but we did. And so when I see tapes, I just cringe because I'm like, you kids don't understand. Don't dare call me boomer because I don't want to use a tape. I don't want any media. I have records, yes. If it's a favorite band, I'll buy a record. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I have a record. I could touch it. But I'm not going to buy a tape.
Exactly. Something physical.
I'm not going to buy a tape.
You might as well have a tape because you don't listen to the records.
The problem is, A, I don't have a tape player. B, tapes sound like
buy you a
shit. It probably costs like way too much. It probably costs way more than it should. You remember those old plastic boom boxes they used to make?
You know what? I'm going to start a tape collection.
Okay, good. Get that tape. They're lighter than records, yes. Yeah. True. You could get that tape thing.
And I like, because I don't like having delicate things that are worth money.
They're kind of delicate in a way.
I like collecting junk.
They wear out.
I'm not going to play them, though.
All right, you're just going to be like my records that just sit there.
I might play them.
Look pretty.
Yeah, I'm going to have like a stack.
Tapes
I'll have a little shelf with tapes on
Tapes look as pretty as like a 1990s Oldsmobile Silhouette. That's what they kind of look like. They kind of have that look to them.
It's for for the John Waters fan, you can have a tape collection.
It really is that associated with John Waters?
No, I'm just saying like their level of class.
Oh yeah, it's just that tackiness.
It's for trashy people.
Pink flamingos and stuff.
Yes, It's tacky.
I get it. But anyway, a lot of the thrash and hardcore bands are going for nostalgia. And I'm not saying they're hipsters. They're just going for that nostalgic element because that kind of music was always spread on tapes back in the 90s. They were probably bands that really weren't cool enough for 7 inches. Because in the 80s, 7 inches were normal. Obviously, bands did that. But in the 90s, you were kind of cool if you had a 7 inch. Like you're like, I have a 7 inch. We're on a split 7 inch. You were kind of cool. Because, they cost money. And today, they still cost a lot of money. My band, of course, was like, hey, let's make CDs. And I was like, Jesus Christ, you boomers.
You should make tapes.
In some...
I bet those would sell
better. I would
better.
get mad, but it would be more lucrative than making CDs.
I bet half the time people would just be like, wow, it's a tape.
Because our band,
like $4 and they'd be like, sure.
I don't know if it'd be that much. I'm not sure.
$2.
I'm not sure how much they cost.
I don't know.
They're probably
either.
more than that. You probably have to charge like $10 for them. I bet you do.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I bet you do. You don't quote me, but I bet you do. But like our kind of music would be is tape kind of music, is it not? It's definitely tape kind of music. But anyway, fuck your tapes, okay? Stop with the tapes. Stop trying to be cool. You're not cool, okay? You kids don't know anything, okay? Boomer knows. Okay.
Listen to Gulch.
And yeah, by the way,
Thank you, Gulch.
Watch the video. By the way, put it this way, they're a Skins kind of band, not like a skin. I don't mean like not. I mean like they're a Skins kind of band. Like they perform. Like you could tell the singer's like, everyone get your shirts off. Because even if you're fat, like
Isn't that pretty standard
get
hardcore?
the shirt off. That's right.
Hardcore attitude.
Show your old English lettered tattoos.
They're like, we all work out really hard.
Not all of them did, but the singer did. He, they were a bunch of skinny kids, but the singer, he definitely works on his body. He was like, shirts off. I gotta do it with my band. Imagine that. Skins. I'm like, come on, guys.
You don't want to see that.
Skins. No, you wouldn't want to see any of us without shirts on.
For reference, Maledictus is the Chad of his band.
Yeah, and I'm the good-looking one. So if you can imagine, yeah, it gets a lot worse. Yeah, you don't want to see these guys without shirts on.